wonderful co-host is here, Julia Morrow of Destination by Design, JM Destination by Design.
Yeah.
As I know she looks really young, but she doesn't need your travel advice. She's probably been there twice already. She is really experienced. So I was thinking about that. You've been to how many? Do you know how many resorts you've been?
Probably like, I want to say like close to 50 at this point.
Really? Oh my God.
Yeah. Because I feel like I've been to like all of the Cancun resorts.
Yeah.
I've been to a lot in Puerto Vallarta now, been to quite a few in the Dominican. Now we're going to be in Cabo in a few weeks, so that'll add to my list.
Yeah.
I've been all over.
Yeah.
But so
Um,
have you.
yeah, I've been to a few.
A few.
But I have a little bit more time
Yeah.
on you than you have. I definitely had not been to, at your age, I had been to one.
Yeah, I think in the year 2023, I traveled 8 out of the 12 months. So I was
Yeah.
wrapping up resorts that year. And last year, I think I traveled like 6 times, somewhere like
Somewhere
that.
like
So
Right, right. Yeah. All right, Lauren joined as well. Yay. Hi, Lauren.
Hi. Sorry, I couldn't figure out how to join from my computer, so I had to set up my phone.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
Oh,
yeah, I don't think so.
I don't know.
lesson learned.
Anyway, Lauren's joining us. She is another BAI affiliate, runs Avora Destinations. Has been with us a while as well. We were just trying to talk about like how many resorts have you probably been to. I don't know my number. I mean, my number is definitely. I mean, I can't. I've been everywhere. I mean, how many resorts are there? I mean, I've been to probably hundreds.
I have
What
no
about
idea.
you?
Um, gosh, I don't even know. Um, I what even I have no idea. Just I mean,
You're
even
not.
thinking
You're not
back to
counting.
like all of the fams that we've done. I mean,
No.
we're seeing 10 resorts sometimes. So, gosh, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird thinking back on like when I first started in 2021 and like doing consults then versus now, where it's like if someone asks about a resort, it's like, oh, I've been there. And it's like every single time, it's like there's almost not a resort that is mentioned that I'm like, oh, I haven't been there yet. So
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So a lot. Anyway, that goes to our experience, guys. But no, Julia and Lauren are joining me, and again, we've been doing these Facebook lives, or sorry,
Instagram.
Instagram lives. What are we? Lunchtime live with BAI. That's what we're calling it. Still getting used to it. It's gonna come in. I'll get it figured out one day. But anyway, I'm James. Today, Julia's joining us. Lauren's joining us as well. I've already introduced them. But if you guys are watching live, feel free to drop your questions in chat. If you don't, no worries. We're just going to go off the rails and rant about whatever we want. And we usually do pull a couple questions throughout the week from either our brides or not our brides as well. We're here to mostly discuss destination weddings, but really anything travel related as well. So feel free to throw them in the chat. If all right, so let's kick things off with a question from a real bride. So she wrote in. Do I have her whole thing? Hang on, let me look for it. Julie, did I send you the whole question?
Mm-hmm.
Can you read it? Can you answer it? Because I don't have it on my screen here.
I can pull it up.
I have it. It's what do people do for a rehearsal dinner? We opted out of a welcome party and we wanted to have an intimate dinner with family. We have 14 people for a rehearsal dinner, and the resort will only book dinner reservations for 12 people. I feel like they're not being very accommodating and wanting us to have a private dinner, which is at an additional cost per person. We're just looking for something simple. What did others do?
That's right. That's right. So
When I first read that, my first initial thought, because I know resorts are very strict on their max limits of tables just because they don't want to make it into events at the restaurants, I would go and split it 6 and 6, have 2 tables, each have dinner like next to one another, and then like meet up at a bar afterwards. Like, I feel like that would be the easiest solution, and then you don't have to spend money on an event if that's like kind of your goal.
yeah, I think that's if that's the goal, I think it's a great option. I think a lot, and can you guys pay attention to the questions, because there's a lot of questions being added in there. But I think that's a great option if that's your goal. But I really want to kind of show the resort side of things there as well. It's because I think our couples really lose sense of that, right? So let's say this particular resort. I'm not going to call out which resort it was because we just don't like to do that. But this particular resort, in their restaurants, I know the largest table they have accommodates 12 people in like a private area. Um, so they don't really have accommodations for larger reservations than 12. And there's only one that accommodates 12 people. Everything else, all the other restaurants, I think maybe have 8 max tables. So they're a little bit limited. And it's not like, my first reaction as somebody in the US is like, well, why don't they just combine the tables and let a large party sit? And yes, I get that because if we go to a restaurant in the US, that's absolutely what would happen. But in destination, let's say this wedding is 100 guests. All right. That means they're probably taking 50 rooms. Well, this particular resort has 450 rooms. So they have 400 other reservations that they have to accommodate. And they've really sold those reservations on the idea that, hey, this is a, romantic experience. It's, and so they don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize the experience overall of the atmosphere and the environment, the ambiance of for the other guests. And they've got 400 other guests, or 800 other guests to worry about, right? 400 other rooms to worry about. So I think brides can really lose perspective of that. It's not that, yes, I do wonder, it's like, are they trying to nickel and dime you? And anytime they have to do something outside of what their normal operations are, there's going to be a charge. And that will be outside of their normal operation. So I get the frustration level from the bride standpoint there, but it's just, they've got to consider the other guests. So, but I don't know. I like your idea, Julia. I think it's a great solution. Lauren, you got
Yeah.
anything to add on that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I would
Well,
definitely do it.
I was just gonna say, and like to yours, it kind of plays into like a service level because when you do private events, like you have dedicated staff for just your group of people. Whereas like if you were trying to do this in a restaurant where they're managing 5, 6 other tables, the quality is just gonna go down. And I feel like the overall experience is going to be worse. Whereas if you were just 2 tables of 6 or something like that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, all right. Lauren, anything else to add to that one?
No, I mean, I definitely agree with both of you that, trying to do like the 2 tables side by side would be ideal. And then the other thing, if that is definitely important, trying to get to dinner a little bit earlier, just because the later you go to dinner, the more busy it is. So you're going to have your highest chances of having your tables near each other if you're getting there earlier, closer to when the restaurant opens versus 7:30, 8 o'clock at night when the majority of the resort wants to go.
I also feel like that's pretty common too for like welcome parties and events like that, where a lot of couples are on the fence of like, should I pay for this event and have all of this set up, or should we just all go meet at like a lobby bar and say this is our impromptu welcome event?
Mhm.
Which I see both sides to it. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, James, because I know
Well,
you've experienced probably both.
100%. And sorry, guys, I see the questions in the comments, and we're absolutely going to get to them. But yes, 100%. That's a really common question as well. Is people do just go to the lobby bar, or do they do a private event for the cocktail hour or a welcome dinner or something like that? And again, it really depends on what you want. If your goal is to save money, obviously go to the lobby bar. You're paying for an all-inclusive resort. The drinks are free, right? So you don't have to have a official private event. But what you lose in that is that, let's say again, you bring 100 guests to the lobby bar all at 6:30 p.m. The resort's not used to 100 guests hitting them all at once, right? Guests dying throughout the entire evening, right? The dinner reservations are spread throughout there if it's a resort that takes reservations. So guests are kind of getting out of the pool. They're kind of coming and hitting that lobby bar at different times. It's not one big massive rush. So if they have one big massive rush of your group of 100 guests at one time, they may not have the support as far as behind the bar to be able to efficiently accommodate everybody. And so it's that, because that's not what they're used to. So if you have a private reception, you don't have to worry about that. They're going to have a private bar set up for you. They're going to have hors d'oeuvres, that kind of stuff. You're not going to get hors d'oeuvres at the lobby bar, pre-dinner, right? But and the bartenders have to serve all the other guests as well. So again, because there's 400 other rooms or 800 other rooms or however many other rooms at the resort as well that they've got to accommodate as well. So they're not going to just going to you're not going to be able to come in and just take over the bar and have it feel like a private experience. Totally fine if your group's not a lot, big drinkers anyway. They just want to get one and sip on it a little while. If your group's drinkers and they need that bartender really on their game, or they need more bar service, things might be a little slower. So as long as those expectations, as long as you know what to expect going into it, I think you can go either way on it. Sorry, long answer.
That was a long answer. I agree though. I feel like if you want to be cost effective, you would be fine with going with like just a lobby bar type scenario. But I also love when I see like special drinks and little setups in that. So I just feel like it's kind of what your priorities are, and that plays into it. And then also like wedding packages, like some can really help with that type of stuff, whereas some might not include like outside events. So
Yeah. It is important you have the James drink at
The
that was
girliest drink you can get.
it is the best.
Well, do you want
You
to
all loved it.
address the questions now? The first one was asking about hair and makeup recommendations, getting married at secrets. I'm guessing Playa Majeres because you said golf and spa.
Okay. Well, I've got people. I'm not the perfect person. I'm gonna go to you two to answer this because I can. My experience with brides getting ready and hair and makeup on a resort. I always think it looks fine. The brides maybe don't necessarily think so. So I'm gonna let you guys handle that.
I've heard great things about Sarah Tamargo, also the beauty truck. Trying to think of some others that are in the destination, but definitely like look at checking them out. But I think that I get where you're coming from, James, but I also think that hair and makeup is very much like photography, and everybody has a style. And so you want to make sure that your photos are going to be exactly what you want and meet your photographer and kind of know their personality and be able to really zero in on what you want. Kind of same thing with hair and makeup. You don't want to just, go and get like the hair cuttery version of a stylist.
But is it like I uh, I don't understand
You're a
that.
guy.
Yeah, you're not supposed to.
You're a guy. I will say, whenever I get that question, I feel like very same way, Lauren. Like it is very much about like your style, your taste. So I always recommend just like going to huge Facebook groups and looking at previous work that's been done on other brides, because I feel like that's going to give you the most honest type of review and a more real feel of like what you're actually looking for. And then of course like going into their Instagram and stuff like that. But I feel like the Facebook groups, they are typically recommending like the same ones over and over again. So they're like the main ones, and then there are like a few out there's too. So I always say look at Facebook groups because that's where you're gonna get the real opinions.
So for
Definitely.
hair and makeup, are you guys really like if you're getting married, are you really diving deep into like looking at their portfolio, seeing like what they've done, or do you come into it saying, hey, this is how I normally do it. This is what I'm envisioning. Take me through that process. Help me understand a little better.
You don't
Well,
want to
Lauren's the married one here.
What?
you don't want to you don't want to look the same on your wedding day that you do every other day.
Mm,
You want to look spectacular. You want to feel spectacular. So yeah, definitely. But the other thing to keep in mind is outside vendor fees. So definitely, check with your wedding planner, find out about those outside vendor fees. Make sure that you understand full transparency what that's going to mean to bring somebody in to do your hair and makeup. Or if you have somebody traveling with your wedding group, that might be one way to kind of skirt around the vendor fees.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the one sneaky thing about the truck too, because they park outside of the resort, so you don't have to pay the vendor fee for that one.
Yep.
Yeah, the hair and makeup truck. That I mean, what a great freaking idea.
Yeah.
I love it, and we've had a lot of good response from EVO or Evolution, hair and makeup with the makeup truck. They just show up and take you
Didn't
off.
Taylor use them too?
What? I don't
Didn't Taylor
know.
use them? I think she did.
I don't
I want
remember.
to say she did. I don't know. I won't speak for her. She's not on.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember. All right. So hopefully that answers that one. Next question up was we're having a wedding at Dreams Playa Harris next year. What room would you suggest getting ready for a family of four, but also big enough for the bridal party to get ready in the morning of the wedding? Um, what are your thoughts on this, ladies?
I'm kind of thinking split stay almost. Because if you just want a room for a family of four, you're not going to want to pay for a super extravagant big room that you're going to want just for getting ready in. So that's the way I would go.
Yeah, I mean, you could do a preferred club room. They tend to be a little bit bigger, so it might give you a little bit more space to get ready in versus the standard rooms.
And it also depends how big the bridal party is. Like, are we talking 5 people, 10 people? Because I feel like if it were on the smaller side, you could get away with like staying in a preferred room the entire time and getting ready in there.
Yeah, I think, and particularly at that resort, it's hard because most of the basic room categories are all the same size, right? Until you really get up to those family suites, those master suites, that kind of stuff. That's where you get a lot more space. They have the bridal suite and the salon to get ready in. As a photographer, the lighting sucks. It's all internal. There's no windows. It is what it is. It's not. But I mean, who cares? I don't. I can make things work as a photographer in there regardless. And it's really the getting ready photos. It's not like you're getting portraits and stuff done in there. So that's but it's a lot more space. I think they may require, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they may require spa services though from them in order to use that. So that is one thing you could do. But honestly, a lot of times, particularly getting hair and makeup off site or bringing your own hair and makeup vendor or something like that, a lot of times our couples will do. You know, we always request all the rooms be as close together as possible anyway. That's always a request, never a guarantee. But typically they'll wait until they arrive and they'll say, okay, hey, my bridesmaid is in this room that's right down the hall. And I suggest literally having one room dedicated to getting ready. So hair and makeup in that, if you're doing hair and makeup in the room, hair and makeup in that room, getting dressed in that room. That room will be a cluster. There will be stuff everywhere, depending on how many bridesmaids there are. It'll be just a disaster, look like a bomb went off in it. That's okay. Do that, and actually, you don't get dressed in there. Just do hair and makeup in there. Get dressed in the other room, maybe the bride's room, right? So get into the dress and all that in that room, and that room. That way, that room maid service come in the morning. Keep it that way. Keep it clean. Order room service, make sure you get some food in your stomach before the actual wedding, all these things that I thought of as a photographer. But that way, when you're getting the getting ready photos in that room, it's clean and things are put away. Your photographer isn't having to go back and try to like shove everything to the side and make it look like it's not a disaster, because every room that I've been into with a bride and bridesmaids getting ready looks like a freaking bomb went off. So using two rooms can be super helpful if they're close enough together.
Yep, that's a great point.
So that's my take. What else we got, Julia? Any other questions in there?
Um, yes. There was one about, it says we have 23 people right now and we're doing the Eternal Love package, and that only includes a semi-private rehearsal dinner. Would that put us right by each other even though it's separate tables? Would
Yeah.
they put us right by each other? Sorry.
Yeah. Do you guys want to answer that? I think we all know that answer. I hope we know that answer. Maybe
Yeah.
not.
I mean, they're doing a semi-private dinner, so I think that they would be setting up a private space for you.
Yeah, you get the private space, the private staff, and it
Yep.
would be like a event as it
Mhm.
is. So
Yep.
Yeah. The only reason they call it a semi-private dinner is because it's going to take place at one of the restaurants on property. So
Yep.
it's still going to be a private area for you guys. A lot of times, if you go to the restaurants, you may not even notice it, but there may be a separate room that's further back, and just a different set of tables back there or whatnot. They obviously vary in size. Some hold 20 people, some hold 50 people, depending on what resort you're at. But they're always going to have that separate area of the restaurant. The reason they call it semi-private is because they're not shutting down the restaurant for you. So you can't change the ambiance. You can't bring a DJ. You can't bring lighting. You can't do any of those things in that situation, but you absolutely will have a private area. So don't worry about that, I don't think.
Yep. I think that's just kind of a follow on. The first question that we had answered, the dinner wasn't included as part of their package, so that's why it would have been kind of an additional thing. And for the reservations and whatnot.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm trying to roll
Then
through.
there was another question about rooms. They're staying 8 or 9 nights and doing honeymoon there too. Ocean view or ocean view swim out.
Mm.
I personally, I'm more of an ocean view than an ocean view swim out because when I'm at the resort, I prefer to like be in the pools around people and like being at the swim up bar and stuff like that. So I feel like anytime I have had a swim up room, I've not really utilized it to the full potential that I probably should have.
I would
But
agree with that.
I was also though like on the same side of it for a honeymoon, it might be nice because it is like your own private area if you do want to spend like alone time together.
So I think this is where a split stay comes in. I think you split it, and if you're having your wedding there, typically when your group is there, you don't necessarily want to be in the room, right? You're going to be out with your group. You're going to spend all the time with your guests. Um, and so when the group is there, I would go with a lower end room because I'm not going to be in the room anyway. Once the guests leave and after wedding, now I might spend some more time in my room, right? So and all the guests are gone anyway. So then I might want that swim up or higher level room category. But you got to be very careful about the day you switch it to. Um,
Definitely.
I mean, I can't. How many times do we get a request? Oh, I want to switch on wedding day. No, you don't.
No, you do not.
Like people don't realize that checkout is going to be 11, right? Check-in is going to be 3, sometimes 4. So you're going to go on wedding day without any place to be in the middle of your day. So no, don't switch on wedding day. Definitely switch the day after, even 2 days after. Sometimes is my take on that. So hope that answers that one.
So you would do the swim out?
I would do the swim out for the second part. Yeah, I like this. I like this. I love just being able to open the door, get in the pool.
It is.
Um, they're the best swim outs though. There are some properties, so many properties. This is a beef I have with the whole industry. So many properties, the swim outs, they're swim out pools. Yeah, that's nice and all, but like I want my swim out to lead to the main pool where there's a swim out bar. I
The
don't
only
want it to just
resort
be
that
like,
I can
oh, I open my door, and I can have this small pool with me and these 5 other rooms
That's
that
true.
can
The only
swim.
resort I can think of that does that is Casitas.
Casitas, El Dorado Seaside Suites.
Yep.
I haven't stayed there.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Haven, Haven and the Serenity Club rooms, if you do a swim out, they actually have butlers that'll walk around and bring you drinks too.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I would do a swim out suite, yeah.
What's the old Azul Beach?
Ta-
It's
taper?
Taper right now, but it's going to be Iberostar now. It's going through a
Star.
couple sales. That one does too. We've had some great experiences there. It's been me and Tim had a great time there.
Well, should we do one final question?
Yeah.
Um, Last question. Do we have any content creators that we recommend for Dreams Cloud Maharis?
Oh, this is like a long answer here. I
Well,
feel like this
cut
is
it
a
short.
whole. I got questions.
Ask them.
Julia, you mentioned this before about just the coming up of content creators as um, vendors to use for a wedding. Um, it's a different skill set than a photographer. It's a different skill set than a videographer. I don't. Julia, you're like young and hip. Fill us in on what's going on.
I feel like like before this past year, I have not seen any buzz about content creators. And then all of a sudden, every single day, I'm seeing questions about recommendations for content creators. And I feel like there's a draw to it just because of how much social media is in everyone's everyday life now. And like, people want to capture the moments and the small stories of a day, which I feel like that is what content creators do. I feel like they're so fresh to like the industry almost that we don't really have like any solid recommendations to give. But I've seen probably a lot of good work, and off the top of my head, like I know a lot of Taylor's brides do use content creators, and I've seen some great stuff before. So I feel like if it's in your budget, do it, but photography is definitely like number one over content. Thanks, Lori.
I mean, it is something we've toyed around with, the idea of us doing it as, but I guess my question is, what do you expect as a content creator for a wedding? Are you expecting them, to literally follow trends and make your stuff, or is it more behind the scenes type of content throughout the day to post to your account? Julia, what is the expectation there? Or Lauren, do you know about this as well?
I don't have any recommendations on content creators, but I just had a bride that got married this past May, and they did something really cool. So they went onto Amazon and bought a bunch of like camcorders, like the old school style where you like put your hand in, and they had one for each table at their wedding for the reception, and so they had their guests like go around and get content for them, and then she's been using all of that content to like make her own like kind of reel and footage and TikToks and stuff about like their wedding experience. So I thought that that was super fun.
That's super cute and
Yeah,
free. Well, besides buying the cameras.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea, and I think it goes to the point as well as like Julia, how often do we, when with our creators that we use in relationship and partnership with our resorts, how often do we use their raw content? I mean, I think they're coming up with their own stuff, but we really are going in and taking that raw content and repurposing it. So it just goes to show that I think the skill in a lot of content creation is in the editing, and how things are edited afterwards. So I anticipate a lot of photographers adding this to their repertoire, a lot of videographers adding this, this kind of stuff to their repertoire as well. So I think maybe that might be that where the trend goes. Our experience with quote unquote content creators has been mixed. Some have been great and we absolutely love, and then some, I guess I would call them more big influencers, have been absolutely horrible to work with. That's from our standpoint as a business, but it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. I'd like to see more of it, but I don't have a recommendation offhand. I think, some of my photographers and videographers that we refer on the regular will start picking this up, and I would probably lean towards them just for their professionalism overall.
Yeah, I don't think it's going away. And also, like thinking about it, like I know there are a lot of photographers that also do like short reels and stuff. So like it might be worth like looking into a photographer that does offer that instead of like paying for double type of vendors. So it's kind of what
Yeah,
you want. Like if you want all the small stories throughout your day, then I feel like it's up to you.
yeah, yeah, 100%. Courtney said, "Sorry, I missed that. What cameras did they use?"
Oh, they were just the little like handheld video cameras that she got off of like an Amazon deal or something like that.
I got you.
Cute.
I
So
got you. All right, all right. Shall we wrap it up, or we have any more questions today?
Um, there was one final question just to follow up from the rooms asking if we would recommend switching rooms. I guess it kind of depends on context of what you're talking about there.
Switching rooms like mid-stay, is that what we're talking about?
That's the whole question.
Yeah. So if you can provide more information if you're still on, that would be awesome. But if not,
was it the Ocean View versus Ocean View swim out? Maybe.
um, yeah, oh, it actually is the same person, so she might be asking about that.
gotcha, gotcha. All right. Well, yeah, I don't have a good answer because I don't really know the whole context. Sorry.
We can answer it next week when we have the full context.
Absolutely. That's exactly what's going to lead me into that. Thanks, you guys, everybody who dropped in live and commented, asked questions, or those of you that silently judge us from a background, and the lurkers that are in here. We see you guys. We love you all. But so if you got more questions, drop them in the comments or DM us. Throughout the week, really, anytime. Facebook groups, Instagram, wherever is convenient for you, or if you're a BAI bride and working with any of our affiliates, just go ahead and ask your agent They'll answer it, of course, before we get to it on Lunchtime Live, I'm sure, but we'll be happy to discuss it on here as well. Yeah, I think that's it. Until next time, guys, stay salty. We'll see you that next week.
See you next week.
Bye.